Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Product School webinar. Thanks for joining us today. Just in case you didn't know, Product School offers product management certificates online and at our 20 campuses worldwide. On top of that, every week we offer some amazing local product management events and host online webinars, live streams, and Ask Me Anything sessions. Head over to productschool.com after this webinar to check them out.
Hi, my name is Jose. I'm a product manager for GfK. For those of you who do not know it, GfK is a German leading market research company in the retail and mainly in the technical consumer goods space. And this is a webinar for Product School on learnings that I've collected over the years from my personal experience moving from an account manager to product manager positions and vice versa. So first off, I'll tell you who I am, where am I coming from, my career path so far, then the skill set that, again, I've identified mainly from my own personal experience that each profile has, or that each profile had, and the different positions that I've held over the past 7 years. What skill sets or what skills I do think are transferable from one position to the other, and I will share also my personal opinion on the definition, the industry definition of both roles, and then I will just share a concrete example of an experience from one of my positions, one of my early positions where I actually had to play both hats, so both an account manager and a product manager, and what are different skills that I actually had to use while navigating through this situation. So I've already said my name is Jose. So I started off in 2011 working as a product manager for Samsung Electronics. This is in Peru, in Lima, South America. At the time, the company had only 1 year being actually established as a sales subsidiary in the country. So the product management position or the definition of the role was still in the process of being defined. What I was doing there, I was mainly being a product manager, as I said, for the consumer goods, so for the different business units that the company had in the consumer electronics space. I was in charge of the audio division, of the video division of the Peru subsidiary. I worked with the company for over 4 years. Then I had the opportunity to try an entrepreneurship in the social media analytics space for a couple of months. Then I got an opportunity to join as an account manager for GfK. Again, for those of you who do not know it, GfK is a leading German market research company in the retail space, mainly in the technical consumer goods space, whose main clients are consumer electronics manufacturers or technological manufacturers, and also retailers worldwide. The company has presence in over 17 different markets and over 8,000 employees to date. So I was working in the Peru subsidiary, the Peru sales subsidiary and servicing subsidiary, where I was actually given the challenge to improve the degree of analytical services that we're providing to our clients in the country, which of course included companies such as Samsung at the time. So coming from that space actually was very, very helpful to developing my role. I was holding this position as an account manager, as an account executive for GfK for as well over 4 years. And then I had the opportunity to join the global team here in Germany as a product manager, helping building the company digital product portfolio that is helping position the company in more the analytics space. And I'm currently here actually being a product manager for services now, for software. You can reach me on LinkedIn, on GitHub, or on the Product School Slack channel. After this webinar, if there's anything that I can help you or support with, I'm always happy to connect, always happy to talk to people about my experience, listen to their experiences, and just share knowledge. So what are the skill sets that I see on each profile? So let's first talk about product managers. And again, this is input or a recollection of knowledge based solely on my own experience through these different positions over the years. So first off, a product manager, in my view, needs to have a very keen analytical mindset. Most of what a product manager will be doing in both positions, so my experience both being a product manager for the in the consumer goods space, and as well as a product manager now in the services space, requires analyzing a lot of data sources, a lot of input, and making sense of all that data stream that we are now exposed to. So it's how do I gain valuable information from all the data input that I'm getting from different sources. That is, in my view, a key skill for a product manager in order to help him frame problems, prioritize features or functions over a specific product, devise strategies, go-to-market strategies like maturity strategies, like end-of-life cycle strategies. They all require a very analytical mindset to get the job done. A product manager needs to have a strategic thinking. So it's by nature the responsibility of a product manager to be able to position her or himself in different scenarios that of course will vary depending on the life stage of your product and how you can actually devise strategies or action plans for each one of these different scenarios. So this is a skill set that is mainly valuable, or my experience so far, I've seen that is mainly valuable in the product management for goods space, although I'm also using it a lot now in the services space as I need to expect different kinds of behaviors, patterns, or anticipate what are things that my product development will need in order to succeed. Same in the goods space, where you need to develop different strategies for your product to actually maximize your revenue, the development of your product in the market, and the engagement that you're able to obtain of your product with your end users. A product manager is, of course, an entrepreneur at the heart. I think that everyone will agree on this. What we're doing is building up entrepreneurship or managing entrepreneurship at a smaller scale and or within a controlled space that is, of course, companies. If we're doing product management as part of a company, or even within a startup, we are still within a very controlled environment because we are falling under the umbrella of the higher brand, which is different to what an entrepreneur is doing, that is building stuff from the ground up. But anyways, we need to account for that. We are learning how to do it as we go. We need to be fast-paced decision makers, and in essence, we are innovating at every step we take with our products. And of course, a product manager needs to be a good storyteller. Not only because this is out there in every single web page on the internet, or in every single book on product management, or on design thinking, or on business strategy. I've actually seen this firsthand. Conveying the message in a storytelling format actually changes completely the output that you can expect out of a stakeholder update meeting, out of a pitch meeting, to your board, to your innovation board, Or even as a product manager, when you're trying to convince your sales teams that your product should get pushed more, or a specific segment of your product category should get pushed more than others, then you need to convince all of these different stakeholders why they should actually navigate with you on the strategy that you have devised. And for that, the best way to do it is convey it in a story way. Not only a PowerPoint or a 20-slide PowerPoint. My experience, that has never worked. Whereas in the other hand, we have the account manager, and again, I'm also telling you this from my own observation, from my own learning. I've worked very closely with account managers. I still work very closely with account managers, and I've been an account manager, so I know what it is and what it means when you actually need to fulfill a sales quota, even at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, or even at the end of the year. So in my view, an account manager, one of the most important skill sets that an account manager needs to have, it needs to be a people person. The way current businesses work across the globe, we are still relying on people and people interactions, both B2B and B2C space, to actually close deals. So even if it's that we are interacting with our customers by an application, by a chatbot, we need to embed that soft skill on that application. And if we're talking on the B2B space, then we need account managers that are able to engage in meaningful, trustworthy, and very engaging relationships, interpersonal relationships, which are key to any business or any business development that that you will perform as an account manager. An account manager, of course, needs to be very reactive, whereas a product manager is more proactive. But an account manager can also be very proactive if it so desires. But it needs to have like a very close touch of the market that this executive is actually performing in. An account manager cannot know what are the key trends that are being developed in its market, on the products that she or he are selling. Needs to have a closer eye on the competition, what the competition are doing, what are the key new players on a specific channel or a specific cluster of clients that they're managing. So it requires a lot of close watch over everything that's happening in the businesses that you're managing. It needs to have, of course, a business-driven mindset. So an account manager, from my point of view, needs to be thinking all the time, how much more revenue can this or that, how much more revenue can action A or action B or action C can actually bring to my portfolio. Because an account manager is measuring that and is responsible for the business development. So it needs to be very business driven. All the decisions and all the actions that an account manager takes need to have a business motivation, both in revenue and in terms of profitability. Although in the end of the day, it's more of a product manager responsibility to actually be accountable for the P&L of the product or the business unit. And as opposed to a product manager, an account manager needs to have a more tactical thinking. So again, it goes hand in hand with the react with the market. So you will see a specific trend that is developing on your business or on your segment or on the cluster of clients that are actually managing, and you need to have a tactical thinking. So how can I actually react tactically to this activity while securing the business revenue that I need to bring for this quarter, for this month, for this week, for this year, and block any action that my competition can actually do that buys me enough time so that I can go back, discuss with my product manager, this trend is happening on my market, what can we do to actually come up with a better business development strategy for it on this specific product. So in the end, both a product manager and account manager hold a very close relationship. One of them is building up products that are identified or are needed for a specific segment, and an account manager, of course, is responsible in the end for the business development of such products in that given market. What do I think is transferable? Again, coming from my personal experience, my development, my career path as both, or as having both roles. So first off, business strategy is a very transferable skill. Both profiles need to be very aware and what are the businesses behind and what is the commercialization strategy behind an initiative, a product, even if it's new or if it's a product that is already in the market. Because in the end of the day, that is the goal of any new initiative, of any product. And the doublet of PM and AM need to be closely monitoring how is that initiative developing in that given segment. Both profiles share to a certain degree stakeholder management. So both profiles need to have people-person skills, so soft skills. And product manager is always doing stakeholder management, always trying to convince its business stakeholders, its technical stakeholders, its customer, its testing customer, or its validating customers, that the product that they are building up is efficiently solving a need that they've identified for them. And an account manager, of course, is responsible. Okay, how do I transform that that solution that is responding to a need in the market into an actual business, and how much revenue I can bring out of selling that idea to a given set of customers in that market. So both need a lot of people skills. It is intrinsic to both roles from my personal point of view. And third is how do you communicate an idea? Either if you're a product manager trying to get sign off on the business strategy that you're actually intending for product A, or you're an account manager trying to secure your quarter revenue or contract, then you're always conveying ideas. So I'm not saying that it's a required skill set for specifically the account managers, but I strongly see that storytelling should be something that either is required on such roles, or it's something that companies and startups nowadays should train their staff, specifically these two roles, on, so that they can actually efficiently and time box convey ideas and spend more time actually building or developing that ideas than actually trying to convince people on the why they should do them. So now an example from my career, from my own experience. So this was an example from when I was performing as a product manager in Samsung. So in the consumer goods space, so products, actual physical products. So we were trying to introduce a new product concept in the market. So a product concept that has been at the time in more developed markets such as the US or Europe or Asia or East Asia. And the only channel that was actually able to, or that had a customer base that would be appealed by this new product concept was the leading channel in all of the Peruvian market. We had a very low negotiation position because the product, for the reality of the market at the time, was slightly overpriced. and the overall performance of the category in that specific channel was low. So we needed to come up with a strategy on how do we actually introduce the product to the market, and we tackled it from different angles. So first off, we need to secure, this was going to be an experiment. So we were going to actually test how this product concept was working in a given market. So it was not a product development per se, because the product was already designed. We were actually localizing the product and the product strategy to Latin America and to Peru for what it's worth. So what we needed to do was, first off, as I said, introduce the product to the market, secure a PO for the first quarter that the product was going to be launched in Peru on this retailer. And that meant, of course, negotiating exclusivity and a margin with this retailer. How much was the retailer going to be, what was the gross margin that the retailer was going to get out of this product in the market? So we needed to have, and by we, I mean the account manager that was appointed to that account and me, as a product manager of that category at the time, we needed to come up with a very, very concise, concrete way to actually convey that idea on why this person should actually stock and exhibit this product on its source. Remember, we're coming from a very low negotiation position. So this is actually where storytelling helps a lot. Instead of actually coming up with a classical deck on training on why this product was actually more innovative, more efficient, we were actually appealing to the aspirational features that this product had, and that by essence were features that this channel and this specific segment was looking for, because they were already introducing products that were similar from other brands that were priced at an even higher tier than what we were actually trying to position our product. So we sold the idea to the buyer of this category as a holistic campaign that we're going to support and that we're going to push into this channel from an aspirational point of view. I'm not gonna say that it was easy. It was actually a very time-consuming endeavor. It required a lot of negotiation on both ends. So the account manager trying to secure that order, me trying to convince and keep giving tools and means for the account manager to keep negotiating properly this order with its buyer. And me also going into meetings and trying to convey using storytelling and hard data on how this product was performing in other markets. So again, a very analytical mindset for me to actually be able to process all that information and convey it in an efficient way to this person. What resulted, of course, in two things in the end, as we were able to secure this introduction of this new concept into this specific channel. We achieved 100. We went 5% over of what we said was our target, and we created a new customer segment on this retailer. We were the pioneers, let's say, in a way, on positioning this product in this specific retailer. And we helped them create an additional revenue stream for this category, because this was a segment that, because they were always thinking it's too aspirational, only like a very narrow spectrum of brands can actually play in this position in this market, because it's very aspirational, and a brand and a newcomer, a brand that was traditionally not recognized as a strong player in this category, could actually match that demand. We proved them wrong. So this is an experience that I can share from my past. So again, in this example, I was playing both hats. I was playing the product manager position because I was actually coming up with product launching plans, with product go-to-market strategies, with commercialization strategies, keeping a close or a very, very concrete knowledge on what were the unique selling positions and the unique value proposition that my product had for this specific segment, knowing what was the need that we're going to solve for this specific retailer in this specific category, and as well playing the role of an account manager, because I was actually selling this concept and the proposal as a whole, not only to my account executive, but also to the end buyer. So some final remarks that I would like to share as key learnings of me moving from an account manager and product manager and vice versa is, and this might sound redundant, but once you're actually out there, I've learned that it actually helps to keep close, close them in the back of your head. So first off, always have your arguments, both if you're actually in an account manager or in a product manager position, backed with data. So again, the analytical thinking that needs to come, and by definition, the product manager role. I always account for scale up. Don't ever think that you will not need to scale up, as in any business, you need to account for growth. So plan that ahead of time with your products when you're actually prioritizing your roadmap, even if it's in very early stages. Think 5-10 steps ahead. What are different scenarios that you can find yourself into? And even without going into too much detail on what would your strategical action could be, just pencil it down, have a few ideas, and then once you see that the trends on the market are pointing on scenario A or B, then you already have a base on how to carry on with your strategical product development. Account for market maturity. So this is an experience that I've learned as an account manager, mainly trying to sell stuff that was very advanced for the reality of the market, even though it's very possible. It's not impossible. It's totally viable to sell stuff that is way beyond your market maturity. It requires a lot of effort, a lot of investment in terms of time, resources, and most of the time, even though it might be a strategic decision for your product or your initiative, might be that it's not worth it, or it's something that you can actually introduce in the future or in future releases. One thing that I've also seen, and this is something that I'm picking up of a conversation that I had with on the product school Slack channel. So the preconception that innovation is only for product managers is totally wrong. An account manager can also perform innovation and do innovations on its accounts, because in essence, a product manager is responsible for an entire category or an entire product suite. An account manager is responsible, and the product manager is responsible for that across its entire market. An account manager is responsible for the development of that product portfolio in its accounts. So by definition, an account manager is performing some of the tasks and some of the day-to-day functions that a PM is doing, but on a much smaller scale, only if it's on its accounts. And one other learning that I can share with you, and that I've also seen this in some conversations on the channels in the product school Slack space, are if you want to make the move, either if you want to go from an AM to a PM or from a PM to an AM, just ask if the position is available. I've hired and I've been hired for those positions, and I can tell you that having either one of those backgrounds, especially if you have like an account manager background, moving into a product management position actually gives you a very, very big leverage. So the technical skills are something that you can actually learn and you can pick up on, probably not in a very, very big depth, but it's not rocket science in the end of the day, unless you're actually working for the startup that is doing rocket science, or a company that is actually doing rocket science. But having that background, having that soft skills skill set, and that close connection to what the market trends are can actually prove to be a very good leverage. Nowadays, we are in a space where we see most of these positions being fulfilled by very, very technical and very skilled people that are very apt to the job. But when it comes to actually validate those ideas with actual clients, then we start seeing some friction. So having that soft skills set, or having the ability to actually engage in very long lasting and very trustworthy and very close relationships with your actual clients, with your actual users, from my point of view, is still very valuable. Thank you for listening to this webinar. Catch up with you on the next time.